Chapter 44 begins with Suho looking at the countless torches that were over him, covering a large amount of area in the starting point. Seeing all of them, Suho was in disbelief, wondering if all these torches were all the lives he had left in this dungeon and wondering if that was a good thing. He starts remembering how powerful his other selves were, and with no way for him to level up, he has to die over and over again while fighting them. As he was still thinking of a way, he sees a notification showing a system error stating that the system had detected an anomalous interference due to a foreign material. Seeing it, Suho wonders if this error was the reason that the quest was so different from the last time. As he was doing that, he saw more notifications instructing him to defeat the being inside the door before he ran out of lives, and informing him that if he wished to escape from this dungeon, he had to complete the advancement quest. Reading the notifications, Suho gets a little concerned, thinking that there was no guarantee that the torches on the ceiling walls were actually representing his lives. But thinking that even so, he can't give up here, and with no other choice, he starts to move forward to explore the dungeon in order to find a way to level up. As he was exploring the place, he recalls that this place had unpredictable pathways and boss room doors placed at random and thinks that there was a high chance that more boss rooms existed besides those two. But the problem was that he had no idea how big this maze was. He thinks he has plenty of time, so if he searches carefully, he might be able to find something useful. Just as he was thinking that, he notices something, and turning towards the location, he thinks that he can sense something from that direction. As he looked closer, he saw something appearing from the darkness, and as it fully emerged, he saw a stuffed doll that was looking right at him. All of a sudden, his childhood form appears from the back and was staring right at him. Looking at Suho, it got excited, while Suho froze in horror, not able to understand how he got out of the boss room. Seeing him approaching, Suho started panicking, wondering if he got out of the boss room through the open door. But deciding to worry about that later, he started to run, thinking that if he stayed here any longer, he would end up dead. But as he was doing that, something unexpected happened, as he felt a sharp pain coming from his leg. As he looked down, he got shocked to see that the child had already managed to sever it. After which Suho fell to the floor in agonizing pain as the infant Suho slowly started to approach him. Looking at the toy in front of him, Suho started wondering how his leg could just explode from getting hit by a toy. But realizing that he had no time to lose, he started thinking of a way to get away from him. As he was still in his thoughts, wondering how he was supposed to clear this place at this rate, he failed to realize that another individual was approaching him. Before he could even understand what was going on, his most powerful form appeared next to him. By the time he did notice, it was already too late, and looking at him, Suho started thinking that this was insane. But before he could even finish that thought, his evil twin kicked him in the head and ended him on the spot. The story fast forwards, and we see Suho waking up in the starting area, wondering how he is supposed to clear this place with the bosses roaming the corridors. This difficulty was ridiculous, and he wonders if his father also had to go through an advancement quest like this. Remembering that his father also cleared this dungeon in the past, he gets motivated, thinking that if the clear condition was just to defeat the being inside the room, then there was no need to fight and win against those two bosses. He just has to keep trying and find another boss room. Thinking that, he sets out and comes across his teenage self, who, after seeing him, instantly punches Suho into pieces. Thinking that it was okay if he dies since he has infinite lives, he sets out again and this time gets mangled by the hands of infant Suho. After that, he kept on trying over and over to look for a way to clear this dungeon, but every time, he met the same fate and ended up at the starting point. The story fast forwards to who knows how long, and we see Suho sitting in the starting area after countless deaths. He was thinking, what if all this was happening due to the system error and there was no other boss room? Because of that, he got infinite lives and enemies that he couldn't defeat. He thinks that this wasn't a place where he could level up, it was just hell. As he was about to lose hope, he remembers what he told Baru and the others, that if he was going to get strong, he needed to aim for the strongest. Remembering those words, he started gritting his teeth and thought that his own words had become shackles, forcing him to move. With that, he wipes the blood from his lips and starts drawing a map of the maze while thinking that he'll have to do whatever he can. The story shifts to the outside, and we see a reporter informing the people that the Hunter Association has officially banned the use of the Hunter Awakening drug known as Stardust, which was known as a side effect-free awakening drug and was popular among hunters. However, it was revealed that many hunters who took it lost their memories. So now investigations are currently being conducted on hunters who consumed Stardust. Meanwhile, Lee Min-sung, former vice guild master of the Reaper Guild and a key figure in its distribution, was found dead in the mountains by a hiker earlier this morning. He tells the audience that Lee was once a celebrity and hailed as a hero among hunters, and his involvement in this crime has left many people shocked, because of which the Reaper Guild has requested a thorough investigation from the Hunter Association. The story shifts, and we see Lim Tae-gyu, who, after realizing the truth, was saying that this was all his fault. He tells everyone present in the room that if only he hadn't let Min-sung slip away back then, none of this would have happened. Seeing him in this state, Chairman Wu tells him not to be so discouraged, to which Lim tells both of them that there was something that has been bothering him, as when Lee's body was found, it wasn't normal and seemed like he had transformed into something else. He comments that from what he knows, Lee didn't possess such an ability that would make him look like that. Hearing him say that, Choi asks if he was saying that it was a skill that he gained after consuming Stardust, and hears him saying that he wasn't sure right now himself. But it was a possibility, and he reminds him about the hunter wearing a black mask who was hostile to Min-sung. Hearing that, Choi asks if he suspects that Hunter was the one who took out Min-sung. Meanwhile, Wu was listening to their conversation in silence and started to wonder if that black-masked hunter was Suho. During their conversation, Choi informs both of them that one of the miners in his party has gone missing, and bringing out his picture, he tells both of them that his name was Sung Suho, who is registered as a D-rank hunter, but given the circumstances, there was a possibility that he was a false ranker. The apostle was also present in the room, and after listening to their conversation, he asks Choi if he can see that picture, to which Choi tells him he can, since he was also involved in this case. As he was looking at the picture, Wu started thinking that it was a high chance that Suho was the black-masked hunter and gets worried since he has gone missing. And thinking about Jinwoo, he asks what was happening to Suho. Meanwhile, the apostle was looking at Suho's picture, and as he covers his face with his finger, he starts smirking, realizing that Suho was the black-masked hunter. The story shifts back to the dungeon, and we see Suho looking at the map of the maze that he managed to draw. As the scene zooms out, we see that he had covered the entire floor of the starting area and was sitting in a corner wondering what he should do. After thinking for a bit, he realizes something and prepares to head out to conquer the dungeon. The story shifts to the Shadow Dungeon, and we see Amat, who is telling Baru to stop freaking out as that wasn't going to bring Suho back. But that just angers Baru even more, as he calls him a cold-blooded reptile and asks if he was telling him to calm down when they don't even know how Suho was doing. With tears in his eyes, he calls out to Suho, saying that he was so worried that he can't even sleep. Seeing him acting this way, Essel tells Amat that she can understand why Baru was acting this way since it's already been 2 weeks since the young monarch entered the gate. To this, Amat asks if she was also worried about Suho. Hearing his question, Essel asks why he was being so calm about all this, reminding him that he was also Suho's comrade. Hearing her say that, Amat asks if they even know about Suho's true strength, saying that they always compare him to the great Shadow Monarch and treat him like a child. But he has never met the Shadow Monarch and doesn't know about his strength. However, what he knows about Suho is that even when his bones broke, his flesh was torn apart, and his body was pushed to its mental limits, he never once spoke of giving up. With confidence, he tells all of them that no matter what trials he may be facing right now, he's sure he'll come out victorious. Hearing his words, both Baru and Essel find hope and tell him that he was right about that and comment that right now, all they can do is trust the young monarch. Back in the dungeon, Suho was charging towards someone. It was his evil twin, to whom Suho was asking if it thought that he would just keep dying without fighting back. But just as he was about to land an attack, his body blows up into pieces with one attack from the twin. After which, he decided to play the game on easy mode and went after the infant Suho, thinking that he managed to catch him off guard. He prepares to deliver a powerful kick to finish him off, but before he could even get close, the child simply raises his hand, and Suho's body turns into mush. As his consciousness started to drift away, he started thinking that he has lost count of how many dozens or even hundreds of times he has died. Now, after so many deaths, he realized that he could see their status window. Looking at the infant Suho, he sees his details and notices that his ruler's authority was at max level. Remembering his teenage self, he recalls that back then, he was so powerful that he was able to destroy things just by touching them, and was also awakened as a soul striker after clearing this dungeon with a monstrous level of 99. After that, he regains consciousness at the starting area once more and, thinking that he was wasting time, springs back up to his feet and starts running to explore the dungeon while thinking that he wasn't able to get far enough to map the place out. As he was doing that, he realized that with each death, he can feel himself getting used to the fear, but he thinks he can't let himself get used to this feeling since he can't take death lightly. So he needs to fight desperately to survive. As countless deaths mean countless challenges, through them, he can become even stronger. Eventually, he manages to map out most of the dungeon and was only missing one part of the maze that he hadn't explored yet. Thinking that he didn't find any door leading out of the dungeon means that he needs to defeat both of his versions if he wanted to complete the quest. As he prepared to head out to explore the final area, he thinks that he has been noticing something strange, as he has been running into both of them much faster compared to before. As he was thinking that, he sees something and starts smirking, as in front of him was the infant Suho. Seeing him so close to the starting point, Suho starts thinking that he was right. They were trying to stop him from exploring this place. Seeing this, he starts sprinting towards the infant and covers his body using ruler's authority, thinking that the ruler's authority was like an invisible hand. So if he covered himself using the same power, he should be able to detect when his hand will strike. And just as he thought, he notices sparks forming when both their abilities collided. Wasting no time, Suho moves his head out of the way in the last second, after which he leaps over his other self, who was surprised to see that he was able to dodge his attack. But not giving up, the infant Suho instantly turns towards Suho to finish him off before he could escape. But before he could do that, Suho throws his jacket at his face to stun him, and seeing the opportunity, starts to spring towards the unexplored area. Eventually, he arrives at the place and thinks that he just has to take a left, and he will arrive at the place. Thinking that, he rushes to the turn, hoping that he would find something useful there. And as he looks ahead, he sees a massive door at the end of the corridor leading to another place. Looking at it, Suho freezes in disbelief, thinking that finally, he might be able to escape from this hell. And realizing that he was right, a grin forms on his face as he prepares to enter the door to see what was inside. But before he could even take a step, he senses something powerful approaching him. Turning towards the corridor, he realizes that thing was coming after him to stop him from entering that door. All of a sudden, he saw a flash of light coming towards him with non-human speed. Seeing it, he quickly approaches the door and tries to open it, thinking that he can't fail now after coming such a long way. But by that time, his other self had caught up to him and saw that Suho had managed to locate the door and was about to enter it. Sensing his presence, Suho turns to look at him, and both of them lock eyes for a bit, after which his evil twin prepares to stop him and, in an instant, disappears from sight. By that time, Suho had already opened the door halfway, and sensing it getting closer, he quickly enters the room and closes the door before he was caught. As the place falls silent once more, Suho was seen sweating in fear and realizing that he managed to escape from those two. He turns towards the door and wonders if this will be enough to hold them off. And seeing that his twin wasn't entering after the door was shut closed, he sighs in relief, thinking that he finally managed to get away from them. But a new thought appears in his head as he realizes that it wasn't over yet, as he still has no idea who was inside this room. And thinking that, based on what he saw so far, there was a big chance that another version of himself could be here. He wonders which version it could be, either from the early tutorial or maybe from that time when he was fighting against the knights to level up. As he was still in his thoughts, he hears approaching footsteps from the back and starts to turn to see who or what it could be. And as he turns around, he sees that it was his current version, and with that, the chapter ends. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for the next part. Until next time, take care.